21 Hidden Truths about the Science of Fat Loss. 1. The Survival Shadow. The Set Point Theory. Your body possesses a secret thermostat for your weight, known as the set point. Imagine you are the captain of a ship navigating a storm. When you suddenly slash calories, your brain doesn't see a summer body goal. It sees a life-threatening famine. It immediately lowers your basal metabolic rate and ramps up hunger hormones like ghrelin to pull you back to your starting weight. This biological defense mechanism was honed over millennia of food scarcity. To lose weight permanently, you cannot crash the system. You must slowly convince your internal captain that a new, lower weight is the safe harbor. Studies show that aggressive dieting often triggers a metabolic adaptation that can last for years, making slow, incremental shifts the only way to lower the set point without triggering the hypothalamus's emergency alarm. 2. The insulin gatekeeper, the fat storage key. Think of insulin as a bouncer at the door of a high-security club called the fat cell. When you consume refined sugars or processed flours, insulin levels spike, and the bouncer swings the doors wide open, ushering energy into storage. Crucially, as long as the bouncer is standing at the door, high insulin, nobody's allowed to leave. You physically cannot burn stored fat if insulin is constantly elevated because it inhibits hormone-sensitive lipase, the enzyme responsible for breaking down fat. Weight loss is less about the sheer volume of food and more about the hormonal environment you create. By prioritizing fiber and protein and extending the time between meals, you finally give the fat cells permission to release their energy, transforming your body from a storage locker into a fuel burner. 3. The thermic effect, the cost of processing. Not all calories are created equal because your body must pay a tax to digest them. This is the thermic effect of food, TEF. Imagine eating 100 calories of white sugar versus 100 calories of lean chicken. Your body spends almost zero energy processing the sugar, but it burns about 25 to 30 calories just to break down the protein into amino acids. Protein is the expensive fuel of your metabolism. By increasing your protein intake, you're essentially increasing your internal tax rate, burning significantly more energy while sitting perfectly still. Furthermore, protein stimulates satiety hormones like PYY and GLP-1, which tell the brain the hunt is over. This creates a metabolic advantage. You are spending energy to get energy, making protein the most efficient tool for maintaining a lean physique without feeling deprived. 4. The neat secret, the invisible burn. Most people fixate on the 60 minutes they spend at the gym, but the real metabolic magic happens in the other 23 hours. This is NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Imagine a slow-burning candle versus a flashy firework. NEAT is the energy you burn fidgeting, standing, pacing, while on the phone, or cleaning the house. For many, NEAT accounts for a far greater portion of daily calorie expenditure than a deliberate workout. If you sit for 10 hours and exercise for 1, your firework goes off, but the candle is extinguished. To lose weight, you must keep the candle lit by moving consistently. Research indicates that lean individuals stand and move significantly more than those who are overweight, proving that life's small, invisible movements are the foundation of a high-burning metabolism. 5. The cortisol sabotage, stress-induced storage. In the ancient world, stress meant a tiger was chasing you. Today, it is a looming deadline or a mortgage. Your body responds identically by releasing cortisol. Imagine cortisol as a biological warehouse manager, obsessed with stockpiling belly fat. High cortisol signals your body to break down muscle tissue for quick glucose, while simultaneously storing fat around your vital organs as a protective shield for the coming crisis. You can eat a perfect diet, but if you are chronically stressed, your manager will keep the warehouse full. Cortisol also increases cravings for high-calorie comfort foods. Stress management is not a luxury. It is a metabolic requirement. Lowering stress tells your body that the environment is safe, allowing the warehouse manager to finally start shipping the stored fat out for fuel. 6. The leptin ghost, the hunger disconnect. Leptin is the satiety hormone produced by your fat cells. In a perfect world, the more fat you have, the more leptin you produce, telling your brain to stop eating. But in the modern landscape of processed foods, a ghost appears. Leptin resistance. Your brain becomes deaf to the signal. Imagine a smoke alarm screaming in a house, but the owner has become so used to the noise, they have put on noise-canceling headphones. Your brain thinks you are starving even when you have massive energy reserves. This disconnect is often driven by systemic inflammation and high fructose intake. Healing this connection requires reducing processed foods so the brain can finally hear the signal to stop eating, allowing your natural appetite regulation to take the wheel once again. 7. The muscle engine. Your metabolic currency muscle is metabolically expensive tissue. Think of muscle as a high-maintenance sports car that burns gasoline even while idling in the driveway. Fat, by contrast, is just a spare gas tank in the trunk. When you lose weight through severe calorie restriction or cardio alone, your body often sells the car, breaks down muscle, to save energy. This is a disaster for long-term weight loss because it lowers your resting metabolic rate. Resistance training sends a signal to your body that the car is essential for survival. By preserving or building muscle, you ensure that you burn more calories every single second of your life, even while you sleep. Muscle is the only active tissue you can control, making it your most valuable currency in the fight against a sluggish metabolism. 8. The sleep siphon, the nightly reset. When you skip sleep, you are essentially drunk driving your metabolism. Chronic lack of sleep causes ghrelin, the hunger hormone, to soar, and leptin, the fullness hormone, to plummet. Imagine your brain's willpower center being dimmed by exhaustion, while the craving center is turned up to maximum volume. One night of poor sleep can make you crave 30% more high-calorie, sugary junk food the next day. Furthermore, sleep deprivation makes you more insulin-resistant, meaning your body is more likely to store that junk food as fat. Sleep is the time when your hormonal dashboard recalibrates. Without 7 to 8 hours of quality rest, you are fighting a losing battle against your own neurochemistry, a battle that no amount of sheer willpower can ever truly win. 9. The fiber filter, the satiety sponge. Fiber is the only part of food your body cannot digest, yet it is arguably the most vital for fat loss. Imagine fiber as a biological sponge that expands in your stomach, physically triggering the stretch receptors that tell your brain you are full. More importantly, fiber acts as a net in the small intestine, slowing down the absorption of glucose and preventing the massive insulin spikes that lock your fat cells. It is the natural brake on your appetite. Without fiber, food is like high-octane racing fuel that hits your system too fast, causing a crash and subsequent hunger. With it, food becomes a steady, slow-burning log on the fire. Increasing fiber is the easiest way to feel full on fewer calories while keeping your fat-burning hormones in check. 10. The microbiome map, the bacteria boss. Inside your gut live trillions of bacteria, and they are the secret middlemen of your weight loss. Some bacteria, like firmicutes, are super absorbers that squeeze every extra calorie out of your food and store it. Others, like Bacteroidetes, are associated with leanness. Imagine your gut as a garden. If you feed the weeds with sugar and processed fats, the fat-storing bacteria take over. If you feed the flowers with diverse fibers and fermented foods, the lean bacteria thrive. Your weight is often a reflection of who is winning the war in your gut. These bacteria even influence your cravings by sending signals through the vagus nerve. To change your weight, you must change your internal ecosystem, turning your gut into a place where lean-promoting bacteria hold the majority of the power. 11. The hydration illusion. Thirst masked as hunger. The signals for thirst and hunger are processed in the same small area of the brain, the hypothalamus. Imagine your brain's dashboard has two warning lights that look almost identical. Many people eat when they are actually thirsty because they misinterpret the signal. Furthermore, water is a required substrate for lipolysis, the chemical breakdown of fat. You cannot effectively burn fat without adequate hydration. Being even slightly dehydrated can slow down your metabolic processes. By drinking a large glass of water before a meal, you clarify the signal on the dashboard. Often, you will realize that the hunger was just a cry for hydration. Keeping your cells hydrated ensures the chemical machinery of fat loss is running at peak efficiency, preventing false alarms that lead to overeating. 12. The liquid calorie trap. Stealth energy. Your brain does not register liquid calories the same way it does solid ones. Imagine eating 4 whole oranges versus drinking a large glass of orange juice. The oranges require chewing and have fiber, which triggers satiety signals in the brain. The juice, stripped of its fiber, is processed by the liver in seconds, causing a massive insulin spike without ever telling the brain it was food. Alcohol, sodas, and even healthy smoothies are stealth energy that bypasses your natural fullness sensors. Because they don't occupy much space in the stomach and require no mechanical digestion, you can easily consume 500 calories of liquid without feeling any less hungry. To lose weight, you must stop drinking your calories and start eating them, forcing your body to recognize the energy it is receiving. 13. The mitochondrial spark. The energy factory. Your mitochondria are the tiny furnaces inside your cells where fat is actually burned for energy. Think of them as the engines of your biology. Over time, due to a sedentary lifestyle and poor nutrition, these engines can become clogged and inefficient, leading to metabolic inflexibility. Cold exposure, like cold showers, and Zone 2 exercise, steady-state movement, actually increase the number and health of these furnaces, a process called mitochondrial biogenesis. Weight loss is not just about the fuel, calories you put in. It is about the health and efficiency of the furnace. Healthy mitochondria turn fat into heat and movement. Unhealthy ones are sluggish, preferring to leave the fuel in storage. Sharpening these spark plugs ensures that every calorie you consume is more likely to be used for energy than sent to the fat cells. 14. The reward circuit, the hijacked brain. Modern processed foods are meticulously engineered to hit the bliss point, a specific combination of fat, sugar, and salt that triggers a massive dopamine release. Imagine your brain's reward system as a musical instrument. Natural foods like a steak or an apple play a soft, pleasant melody. Processed junk food is like a deafening heavy metal concert. Over time, your brain numbs its receptors to protect itself from the noise, meaning you need more and more junk just to feel normal. This is the cycle of food addiction. Weight loss requires a reset of this circuit. By returning to whole, single-ingredient foods, you allow your brain to regain its sensitivity to subtle rewards. Eventually, the heavy metal of junk food feels overwhelming, and the soft melody of healthy food becomes satisfying once again. 15. The inflammation wall. The metabolic block. Chronic inflammation is like biological static that interferes with your hormones. When your body's inflamed due to high stress, environmental toxins, or poor sleep, your cells become resistant to signals from insulin and leptin. Imagine trying to have a nuanced conversation in a room with a loud, buzzing television. The instructions simply can't be heard. This inflammation makes it physically impossible for the fat-burning machinery to receive the chemical command to start. Reducing inflammation through omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and adequate rest is often the missing link for people whose weight won't budge despite a calorie deficit. By quieting the biological noise, you allow your hormones to talk to your cells again, effectively removing the wall that was blocking your fat-burning potential. 16. Adaptive thermogenesis, the body's counterstrike. As you lose weight, your body becomes more efficient. Imagine a car that suddenly starts getting 100 miles per gallon instead of 20. While this sounds good for weight loss, it's a disaster. It means you are burning less energy doing the same amount of work. This is adaptive thermogenesis. Your body is actively trying to save its remaining fat stores by dimming your internal lights. This is why weight loss plateaus happen. To counter this, you cannot simply keep cutting calories into infinity. You must use diet breaks or refeed days to signal to the brain that there is no famine. This keeps the metabolic fire burning bright instead of letting it dim to a flicker, convincing the brain that it is safe to continue releasing its stored energy. 17. The brown fat mystery. The internal heater. Most of the fat in your body is white fat, energy storage, but you also possess a small amount of brown fat. Imagine brown fat as a space heater. Its primary job is to burn calories specifically to generate body heat. While babies have a lot of it, adults can activate theirs through cold exposure. When you take a cold plunge or even keep your house at a cooler temperature, your brown fat wakes up and starts consuming white fat stores for fuel. This is one of the few ways to increase your resting calorie expenditure without movement. By tapping into your body's ancient thermal regulation, you can turn your body into a more active furnace, using the cold to spark a fat-burning process that remains dormant in our modern, temperature-controlled environments. 18. The circadian rhythm, timing the burn. Your body is a biological clock. It is naturally more insulin-sensitive in the morning and becomes more insulin-resistant as night falls. Imagine your metabolic factory has official opening and closing times. Eating a massive, heavy meal at 10 p.m. is like trying to deliver a huge shipment to a factory after the workers have gone home. The shipment just sits on the dock as fat. By aligning your eating with the sun, eating more during the light hours, and stopping well before bed, you work with your biology instead of against it. Research shows that people who eat the same amount of calories earlier in the day lose more weight than those who eat late at night. Respecting the clock ensures your factory is fully staffed and ready to process the energy you provide. 19. Protein leverage. The protein hunger. The protein leverage hypothesis suggests that the human body has a strict, non-negotiable protein target. It must hit every single day to ensure cellular repair and enzyme production. Imagine your brain has an internal biological counter that meticulously tracks every gram of protein you consume from the moment you wake up. If you don't hit this specific target, your brain will keep your hunger signals in the on position, driving you to compulsively overeat everything: chips, cookies, pasta, in a desperate subconscious search for those missing amino acids. This is the primary reason why we find it so easy to polish off a bag of low-protein snack foods without feeling satisfied. When you prioritize high-quality protein at breakfast, such as eggs or Greek yogurt, you hit the target early in the day. This triggers a powerful hormonal cascade. The hunger hormone ghrelin is suppressed, while satiety hormones like cholecystokinin, CCK, are elevated, effectively turning off the brain's craving center for hours. Protein is truly the master lever of appetite control. By satisfying your body's most critical structural need first, you leverage your biology to naturally and effortlessly reduce your intake of fats and carbohydrates. You stop fighting your hunger and start managing the signal that creates it, making weight loss a byproduct of cellular satisfaction rather than a test of iron willpower. 20. Adipocyte memory. The fat cell's ghost. When you lose weight, your fat cells, known as adipocytes, don't actually disappear or die off. They simply shrink in size, becoming like tiny deflated balloons waiting in the shadows. Imagine these cells as empty apartments that are constantly sending out chemical distress signals to the brain, begging for a new tenant to move back in and refill the space. For a long time after the scale stops moving, these shrunken cells maintain a metabolic memory of your highest weight. They continue to suppress leptin production, which keeps your metabolism slightly lower and your appetite slightly higher than someone who is always naturally lean. This is the physiological reason why weight maintenance is a completely different skill set than weight loss. It typically takes about 12 to 18 months of consistent maintenance for the body to start decommissioning these empty apartments and resetting its internal blueprint. During this critical window, your body's in a state of high alert, ready to store any extra calorie with extreme efficiency. You haven't truly won the battle when you reach your goal weight. The real victory happens when you hold that position long enough for your body to rewrite its cellular memory and finally accept the new, leaner version of you as the permanent resident. Persistence during this phase is what separates a temporary transformation from a lifelong change. 21. The mindset mirror. The identity shift. The final and most enduring truth is that you cannot simply do a diet. You must fundamentally become a person who lives a certain way. Think of the difference between a smoker who's trying to quit and a non-smoker. The person trying to quit is in a constant, grueling, and exhausting battle of willpower against their own desires, seeing every cigarette as a missed temptation. The non-smoker, however, simply doesn't smoke. It isn't a daily choice or a struggle. It is a core part of who they are. Weight loss requires this exact same identity shift. If you continue to see yourself as a heavy person who is struggling on a temporary diet, your biology and habits will eventually revert to that deeply held self-image the moment your guard drops. Your biology is a mirror that ultimately reflects your internal identity. If you shift your core identity to be an active, health-conscious individual who respects their body. Your daily choices regarding food and movement stop being chores and start becoming automatic expressions of your character. You no longer have to go for a walk or have to eat vegetables. You do these things because that is what a healthy person does. The mind is the ultimate architect of the body, and the biological building it constructs is always based on the blueprints of your deepest self-beliefs. To change the body forever, you must first pick up the pen and rewrite the story of who you believe you are at your core.